apologize at the outset that a text did not get sent today. That was an oversight, and that will not happen again. Expect one next week, and I will give you a stay of execution. Remember, Robert last week said that, what did he call it? Non-negotiable. This call has to,
Non-negotiable.
non-negotiable. We have to have 100 people on this call. I'll take responsibility for not having 100 today, but after today, it's on you. So how many of you, by raise of hand, have a, or I'm sorry, is there anybody that has a guest on with us that you'd like to introduce
Oh,
to
that's
start the
a great
call?
idea. Great idea.
Raise your hand or text it in the text group. We'll welcome any guests that are on here. And with a challenge, next Monday, bring a guest. And sometimes, I don't care if it's your mother, your sister, your brother, your child, your neighbor, somebody who owes you money that you can say, I'll forgive half the debt if you come on the call. I want to see 100 people or more on this call, and I know Robert would be happy with that. Again, I apologize for not getting the text out today. That's on me. But welcome everybody to ARIIX Success, and I will turn the time to Robert Allen, our guest and our host.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Robert.
Welcome. The new year is blasting forward. What's it, the 11th today? So
Yes.
January is just barreling forward. All the goals you set for yourself are right there in front of you. So what we do in network marketing is we cultivate relationships, and then we nurture them, make those relationships bear fruit, and then ultimately we harvest those relationships for those who want to join our business. Not all of our friends want to join our business. A lot of our family members don't want to join our business. But so today, I want to share with you a little bit of a visual that I created here a while ago. So let me share this with you. Here we go. What we do is in network marketing, we farm, we don't hunt. Salespeople hunt. They hunt to kill. And that's the language of selling. It's, closing and essentially checking those leads off of our list and crossing them off, and that's the metaphor for selling. We don't sell. We farm. We nurture. We plant seeds. We watch those seeds grow. Some of those seeds will grow into 100-fold. Some of those seeds will die. They will not grow. But that's what farmers do. We sow. So we basically have three fields around us at all times, and you've heard me maybe talk about it this way. Usually I do it in circles, but I want to do it in fields. Like, can you see that? It's a hot field is usually inhabited by our friends and our families, and that people who are part of our network. And our network, as you've heard before, is your net worth. If you are good at networking, it becomes a process of your net worth, because from your network are relationships that can grow into long-term friendships, sometimes partnerships. So the reason I'm sharing this with you today is just to remind you that one of the reasons that people don't like network marketing is because people treat it like sales, and they treat it like hunting. They're hunting for the hot prospect, and they're not nurturing, they're not cultivating. So the first skill is to just cultivate. And and so realizing that around you there are these three fields of people that you're constantly interacting with. And some of the interaction inside our hot market is very different than the interactions that we have with people that are in our warm market, very different than the people we interact with in our cold market. So, so just the reason I'm sharing this with you is that sometimes when you're with a brand new person and they're trying to understand our business, sometimes this is an analogy that you can share with them. You can say, we cultivate fields around us. That's what we do. And some of our friends become part of our teams, and some of them don't, right? Okay, so let's see. Let's try that again. So, how do you nurture a friendship so that it becomes a partnership? And that's a skill, and some people are really good at it, right? So, the next field around us is the warm market. And these are not friends, these are not people that we know personally. They could be on social media, but they're a little more distanced. That's why it's warm. It's not hot. People that you know are hot. And so the people you bump into at parties and things like that, you don't know them when you bump into them, but you warm them up with a handshake, and so this becomes your field where you're warming people up to bring them into your hot market. And some of those people will eventually come all the way into joining with you, becoming your friends over a long period of time. Now, that doesn't mean all of them will, or that doesn't mean they might join your business, but a few of them will. What percentage? Well, if you're looking at the hot market, it's going to be 1 to 5% of those people are going to join your group, join your team. If you're looking at the warm markets, it's probably going to be less than 1%. If you talk to 100 people, if you're doing regular marketing, it's less than 1%, 1-2%. In other words, most people, when they think of network marketing, they don't realize it means network marketing. Marketing means finding those people who are searching for what we have and inviting them to try it and to test it. And we realize that the odds of that are really small. And most people at the beginning of network marketing, they don't understand that. That's why they get discouraged so easily, because finding 1 or 2 in 100 is very daunting, especially for a brand new person who doesn't like rejection, and they go out into the world and they have 10 of their friends tell them that they're out of their mind. They go, oh, this is not for me. When it's just because they have been introduced to it in a wrong way. They've been told, hey, it's going to be easy. Bring your friends in, sign them up, no big deal. So they try it and it doesn't work. And then they say, well, talk to the people that you meet on a daily basis, and not realizing that 2 or 3, maybe out of 100 people that they talk to like that will be perfect for their business. And 97% of them will not be interested at all. And they take it personally. And they go, I'm so sorry. I thought this would be a lot easier. It's because they haven't been taught the numbers of marketing, any kind of marketing. Now, when we go to the outside field, I call it the cold marketing. And cold marketing is definitely less than 1 in 100. It might be 2. It might be 1/2, or let's say 1 in 200. Might be a nice way of saying it. Because if somebody advertises in the newspaper, they advertise on TV, they're going to be talking to thousands of people to find one interested customer. If they do some direct mail, sending letters to 100 interested prospects that they have from a direct mail list, it's going to be 1 in 200 if they're lucky. And so this is what people usually want to do is they go and they say, well, I don't want to talk to my friends. I don't want. I want to practice first on people who are not all that interested, so that I can talk to people, and if they reject me, it doesn't matter. So they go off and talk to 200 people and find out that one of them might be interested, and they say, wow, this is too hard. And so they quit. Now, essentially what all of us need to do in our business is to do all three, is to talk to people we know, talk to people we meet, and advertise. That's what the cold market's all about. It's doing free publicity. You can do that in social media, but you can also advertise. You can say I'm looking for, and spend money on advertising. And most of you don't spend money on advertising. And if you don't spend money on advertising, then you have to rely upon hot market and warm market. And that's good. That's good and it's bad. The good part is it doesn't cost you any money to do it. The bad part is that you're limited only to the people you know and the people you meet. And therefore, if you're not much of a meter, and especially during COVID time, when it's hard to meet people unless you go on social media, then it limits your ability to plant seeds, because that's what these fields are about, is planting seeds. We are farmers, therefore we plant seeds. So every day, some of you say that every day you need to talk to 5 people to invite them to take a look at your opportunity. Well, essentially you're planting 5 seeds. How many seeds do you need to plant in order for one of them to grow? Well, that's a number that you need to know. Yeah, I planted 100 seeds this month. Really, how many of them grew? Well, some of them depends on where they were planted, right? As the old biblical story about the sower planting the seeds. Well, that's what you're doing. You're a sower, and you're planting as many seeds as it's realistically possible for you to plant. And some of those seeds are going to fall in good soil, and some of those seeds are going to fall in bad soil, and they'll never grow. And some of those seeds are going to fall in good soil. So where is the best soil? Obviously, the best soil is in your hot market. So as I'm kind of sharing this metaphor with you, if you got a brand new person, sometimes this is a simple way for you to explain what our business is about and what it is they'll be doing, right? So the hot market, why is it hot? Well, because of trust. People trust you because they know you. They know you from experience over a long period of time. They might trust you. They might like you. They might say, "Oh, what you doing? Oh, you're involved in this new company. Oh, good for you." Trust is really the reason why the hot market is the most important market, because it's where the trust is automatic. It's obviously there, and people trust you. And therefore, what do you need to do with a hot market like that? The one activity that I recommend, and you all have different ways of doing it. So is you've got to notify the people that are in your hot market. You don't have to sell to them. You at least should make the list of everybody that you know and notify them. You don't have to go through Well, you could go through one-on-one. And if you have a list of 100 people, you could contact all 100 of them. And the best way to do it would be one-on-one, really. And you just notify them one at a time. Hi, I'm just letting you know. If I had a store in the mall, if we were selling shoes and it was my store and I was just launching it and you were one of my friends, I would want to notify you that I got a store. And so I just let you know, I'm in the nutrition business and boy, do we need that now. And I just thought I'd let you know. And by the way, here are some samples. If you'd like to have one of these, since you're my friend, I'll let you select one of these. Which of these would you like? And so you're notifying them. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't like to give away free samples because they cost money. Well, you'll notice why lots of businesses give away free samples. It's because it's part of their advertising budget. And they realize giving away a sample is very, very, very effective. So sometimes you call a friend on the phone and say, I'd like to sell you one of my products that I've got here. That's why rejections happen. But giving is very, very powerful. Anyway, this is some of the things you do with your hot market. And every one of you has different ways of taking a brand new person and getting them started. Sometimes you'll write out a list of 100. Some of you'll do 10, some of you'll do 20. The point is they need to start with something, and usually we'll start with a list of the people out of the hot market. And you'll find, that's where they need your help. And if they're just brand new getting started, you probably ought to be on the phone with them as they're going through this list of 10 or 20 to get them started, right? Now, one of the things you tell your new person when they get started is that when they enroll somebody, the reason that you want them to enroll one of their friends, somebody that they know, a family member, is because those spots right beneath you, the brand new person, that's prime real estate. That's downtown Dallas, It's the primest real estate in the city of Dallas is right downtown. And so your prime real estate are the spots right directly below you. Why? Well, if you succeed, if your new person really is going to make this business grow, then in order for you to grow or your new person to grow, they have to put somebody beneath whomever goes in those prime real estate spots. So sometimes you hold out those spots and you hold them and you say, if you have somebody that you want to be part of our team, I've got some prime real estate, and once they're gone, they're gone. I have these 4 spots and they're prime real estate. So sometimes people will use that as a way to attract somebody. Come and say, if you come in and get started here, I have to put some people below you. I have to, in order for me to grow. So this is why I like to save those spots for people who are just who are part of my prime real estate group, or part of my hot market, because these are your friends, these are your family members. And if they have any desire at all to grow a business, it'd be nice to know that their business was having you as a partner, and that in order for you to grow, if you want to become a diamond, I'm sorry, a chairperson, if you want to become the top of the top, those 4 spots are going to have to be built under. They have to. And then whoever ends up in those spots are going to have a lot of work done for them if they'll just come in and take some of those spots. So that's one of the reasons I just remind you and remind your beginners, Because when you share a little picture like this to your beginner, you kind of remind them. You're letting them know because of the compensation plan. You know, this is a gift for your friend and family. It kind of maybe give them a reason to want to save these spots for their friends and family, because these are prime real estate spots, right? Now, the warm market, the difference between a hot market and the cold market, sorry, between the hot market and the warm market, is the warm market is the trust is a lot lower. And that's the reason that the probability of enrolling somebody from just social media is a lot lower. It's 1 or 2 in 100. Maybe if you're really good at social media, maybe 3 or 4 in 100, because of trust. So with a person in social media, what they need to do is to realize that you're building trust with them, and you're sharing with them good information, and you're not pushy in social media. You're dripping, and that's what social media does. It's where you drip. Remember, we talked with a lot of the top 25 top leaders in ARIIX last year, and we had a lot of them, and they would constantly tell you, don't tell people what product you're marketing. Don't tell them the name of the product. Don't tell them the company. Why not? Because you're dripping success stories and you're dripping information on them, and some people will eventually it creates curiosity. So this is a different field. It's the warm field, and you have different ways of interacting with your warm field, right? So when you drip, you're trying to create curiosity for them to go, by the way, I see pictures of you having lost some weight. Congratulations. By the way, what are you doing? You're looking good. I see you on social media. You're looking good. What are you doing? See how it would be very different if you just said, by the way, I just started this new product called Slenderize with this company I've joined called ARIIX, and it doesn't create any curiosity. So essentially that seed dies. You want that person to respond back and say, tell me more about what you're doing. Curiosity. And we heard that when we were talking to the top 25 this last year. We interviewed, I think, maybe 15 or 20 of them, and was a constant refrain. When they do social media, they create curiosity. And sometimes we find it's hard to do that because it doesn't feel authentic. Like, I want to just tell the truth. I want to just tell them what's going on. I'm telling them I'm involved in this company, and sometimes beginners have a hard time doing that because they don't want to feel inauthentic, or they want to be more transparent, right? Well, try it your way, and then try it the way that the top 25 do it, and you'll realize that you need to create more curiosity. So as a brand new person, as a leader in ARIIX, your job is to find a way to teach your new person so that they go, aha, I see what I'm doing. I see what I'm trying to do. I get it. And this little model that I created gives you a way to share this with your brand new team. You may have taught them in other ways, but this is kind of a different way of talking about cultivating and nurturing and eventually harvesting. Now you'll notice that in the picture here, we have 3 or 4 stalks of wheat inside the hot box. And then when you get into the warm box, there's just 1 or 2 stalks of wheat. And when you get into the outer box, which is the cold box, there's only 1 stalk of wheat. What I'm trying to say by that is the odds of you finding a ripe kernel of wheat in the cold market is much harder. It's harder, and most beginners that's where they want to go because they don't want anybody to find out what they're doing. And so what they do is they end up going at the worst possible place to find a customer, is in the cold market. And they don't do any advertising because they're just beginners, and therefore they do maybe some free publicity, but more than likely they don't do very well out there. And that's why I want to tell you, you want to do all 3. The no trust is in the cold market. It's the reason we call it cold is because there's no trust there. No, nobody trusts you. What are you selling? I don't believe in this product. I don't believe in you. Who are you to try to tell me what I should buy? Right? So the fastest way to get to overcome that, the lack of trust, is to give product. In my opinion, give them a sample. This is why you see lots of advertising. People try to overcome that trust barrier by giving them product and let them taste it, let them try it, let them enjoy it. And this costs money. That's why there's advertising involved. There's got to be some money involved. You can either spend money on advertising, or you can spend money by giving away a product. And you can say, here, let me let you try it. Let's see what you think of it. I've shared this with you before about Tim's sales. Tim was one of the very first people that we interviewed last year on this call. And if you ever get a chance to be in the same room where Tim's at, you ask him, how did you get started, Tim? How did you get started? You're top in the world. You're one of the best ever. So how did you build your first business? And he'll tell you the story of going to flea markets and buying a table and talking to people at the flea markets, like one-on-one, total cold marketing, talking to people who are looking for stuff and literally cold calling people out of a flea market and finding a few people who might be interested and finding them, getting them a product, selling them something, and making a little bit of money from the sales that he sold at the flea market. And he would take the money, he wouldn't spend it, he'd make some commissions obviously, but he wouldn't spend it on himself. He'd immediately take the money and he would buy advertising. He would advertise for people who had products or looking for products that he would be in the business of marketing. And he was constantly advertising, cold advertising. He would make enough money from the sales of the products he was selling and immediately just go dump it right back into some kind of advertising to try to attract some kind of customer. And he worked really hard at that for many months. It was new skin is what he was selling. And eventually he started to generate some customers from it. But he was doing all 3 of these fields that I'm explaining to you here. Most beginners in ARIIX, they won't do the advertising part. They won't spend any money on advertising. They won't spend any money on samples. I don't know why network marketers are so darn cheap, but they are so cheap. And they wonder why their business doesn't grow. because it requires an investment of time and money, and most networkers won't do it. They won't spend any money, and therefore their business fails, and they kind of blame the model. Um, if you'll notice, some of the growth that's happening in Europe and in England with Tim Sales and with um, um, another one of our top leaders that's working with Tim. They have they did a lot of advertising in England, and they found one of the top leaders in England. They found him from an advertisement in a magazine, and he was involved in a top network marketing company in England, and very successful, but very disgruntled because the business was not growing the way he wanted it to grow, and their compensation plan was kind of weird, and he was looking for something else, and they ran a little ad in a magazine for network marketers. Somehow they were spending money, and Tim and Steve Schwartz. And now they were both, these guys obviously are, nobody had ever heard of Steve Schwartz before. They might have heard of Tim Sales before, but the bottom line is when this person who was looking for a new type of business, when he saw their ad, I don't know if Tim Sales' name was mentioned in the ad, probably not, but he responded to the ad, and then they were able to show him the compensation plan, and he just went ballistic. He just said, wow, the difference between this and the company that I'm in right now. So he was able to literally turn all of his experience into one strong growth, and off he grew. Same thing with Tim Sales or with Steve Schwartz in Italy, and had some incredible growth in Italy because some other guys had been growing another company and had not, had grown outside their ability, and they were looking for something else. Seems like somebody who's a real top leader, they're always looking for another opportunity that could be better in some way, shape, or form. And it took. So this was Steve's warm market. He spent months, right, cultivating that warm relationship. And the reason I'm sharing with you the fields here, and we're talking about planting seeds and then nurturing those seeds, and then finally having those seeds start to generate some results, because he was so nurturing and so giving and so helpful and so friendly and never pushy in any way, shape, or form. When they finally decided they wanted to join ARIIX, they said, Tim is just, or Steve has just been there with us the whole time. He has to be part of our upline. He just has to. And it took months to nurture that relationship. And now, if you want to know why Steve Schwartz is, top of the top, is because of the relationships he nurtured over long, long, long periods of time. And now all of Germany, and all of Italy really are based upon the relationships that he built there. So what reason I'm, kind of summarizing here today is when you're teaching a brand new person, what model will you share with them? And then how will you share with them to cultivate and to nurture the relationships in the fields that you're planting? Because that's what all of you're doing. You're planting seeds. That's what all of us are doing. And no seeds, no growth. No, if you want to grow, you have to grow seeds constantly. And most people won't plant the seeds, and then they won't follow up to nurture the seeds that have been growing. They just plant 100 seeds and keep going looking for another 100 seeds to plant without nurturing the ones that have been planted. So when it comes to the cold market, the, the, the best way to nurture a cold relationship is to educate. Is just to share with them some information that you've learned about some of the products, not necessarily the specific products, but about what the ingredients in the products will do for a person who is looking for that extra edge of health. And so sometimes just sharing what that one ingredient, educating people about the ingredients that we have in our products. Maybe not saying what the product is itself, because that might create not the curiosity that you want, but the more you educate, the more you give. See, when you educate, you're giving. You're not selling, you're giving. You're sharing more information that might be valuable. Some people will like the gift. Some people will throw the gift away. But more than likely, if you continue to educate over a longer period of time, eventually some of those seeds start to grow out of the cold market, right? So this is kind of like the big picture of the three fields we've just been talking about here. Hot, family and friends, the warm, and the cold. And which of those do you do? Cold advertising requires more money, and the odds are not very good. So, but you'll just look at the top leaders, and you ask them, do you advertise? And some of them will say no, so I'll just do hot and warm. Next time you're in a meeting where top leaders are talking, just go up to them. Just say, tell me, what do you do? What do you do with your hot? What do you do with your warm? What do you do with your cold? Do you advertise? Do you spend money on advertising? Where do you spend money on advertising? What kind of results do you get from your advertising? Have you ever found a good leader with advertising? Do you, rather than advertise, do you ever give samples? It's just when you're talking to somebody at the next meeting you happen to be at, pick their brain, because they all have slightly different ways of cultivating the leads in their business. And I'm just going to I'm going to give you the challenge to be the curiosity seeker. Find out, what is it that your upline is doing? If you know who your upline is, contact them. Ask them, what do they do? Now, sometimes they'll be busy enough helping the people in their own downline, so that they're themselves are not doing as much cultivating as they used to do. But have them tell you, when you got started, how did you get started? Did you do any advertising? Do you have a budget for advertising? You right now, do you have a budget? Well, I don't have a budget for it. Why not? This is a business. Well, where would I advertise? It's a good question. Talk to your upline. Where would they advertise? How would you reach out? Is there a way to do a Facebook ad? Is there a way to do a Google search, a Google word search? How can you literally take a budget and spend some money on it and see what kind of results you generate from it? All right, so today's conversation was just a way for you to, for me to kind of share with you how I teach my team about the cultivating process that we do. Next week we'll go a little more into depth on how you cultivate. How do you when you find somebody, how do you nurture that relationship so you eventually create a lead from that, who eventually grows into a business partner or a customer, because that's what we are. We're business people. We cultivate. So anyway, that was my lesson for today. I will turn the time back to any of you for any questions, thoughts, comments, ahas.
Hey,
Rick,
Robert.
I'll turn it back to the whole group.
Yeah, I did, and we can't unmute them right now, but we did. They can put it in their chat. And can I add one small piece of that? Not any change in what you said, but maybe one other thought.
Yes, absolutely.
One of the reasons why people get kind of hung up, I think, too, is they put so much energy and enthusiasm into the one potential, the one possibility
Right,
that and so in a cold market, they may, prospect one person, and when they get a positive response, they don't keep prospecting. They focus on that one. And
right.
so I've always said the sooner we can disconnect ourselves from the outcome of any one conversation or person, the faster our business will grow. Because if that person ends up not saying yes, they've stopped the process to
Right.
focus on the one person.
Great comment. That's true.
Yeah.
Somebody noticed that somebody said that we have 91 participants. We got really close today to that 100 number.
That was my fault.
That's all right, but that's close. We're gonna. So anyway, comments, thoughts. How do you teach it? How do you take a brand new person and give them a model, a metaphor that they can hang their hat on, where they say to themselves, "Yeah, I'm a sower. I sow seeds. You know, some of those seeds are going to work out. Some of them are not going to work out. In fact, most of them are not going to work out.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to die. But the one that does grow, it's 100-fold. It's 100 times. But the 99, most of them are going to get, burned by the heat or by the rocks, as according to the Bible sower parable. And most of us, we put too much emphasis on that one, and when it dies, we go, "Oh, my business is dead." When you weren't only going to get one or two or five in 100 anyway. So I think it's just, as a beginner, you kind of let them need to know their expectations. Because if their expectations are, if you talk to 10 friends and 5 of them are going to sign up, that's a lie. That's just a lie. And if it does happen for them, then they'll be pleasantly surprised. In other words, you're going to build expectations. Any other comments, thoughts, question marks? Thinking in the chat. Let's go into the chat. Let's see what we've got going on here. Okay. Yes, we got the 92, actually. It's true. All right. So when you bring in a brand new person in, this is a visual that you might find useful, because they need to understand what the rules are, what the expectations are. All right, everybody. I wish you all a wonderful day. Next week, we're going to go a little deeper on the how do we nurture, how do we cultivate, how do we harvest. Okay. See you, Francis, Brenda,